Hey, my name is Kaia, and I'm filming this right now in April, and in April it is, in my country, the first week of April is Autism Week, and I think worldwide April is kind of Autism Month. I've heard some people call it Autism Pride Month, and I really like that. So in honor of that, I thought I would give you a few book recommendations of books written by autistic authors. And today I'm going to give you some fictional recommendations, because I have read a whole lot of memoirs by autistic authors and reviewed also some of them on my channel, but I thought I would talk about fiction books today. Now, I would have loved to have made this 5 recommendations, but unfortunately I only have 4, because it turns out I haven't read a whole lot of fictional books by autistic authors. I also have a couple of them on my TBR, and we'll talk about that after I've talked about the ones that I have read. It turns out most of the autistic characters that we see in fiction books are written by neurotypical authors, or at least I haven't been able to find any evidence that an author has said they're autistic. So in this case I'm just going to be mentioning books of whom I'm sure the author is autistic. Not all of them have autistic characters, by the way. Most of them do. 3 out of 4 books do. So it's possible that I have read more books by autistic authors and I just don't know about it, because not everyone is maybe comfortable sharing that. I've read a whole lot of memoirs and also some information books by autistic authors, but today, fiction. And I'm going to start with On the Edge of Gone by Corinne and Duyvis. This is written by a Dutch author, but in English. So the Dutch version of this is actually translated from the English, so I wanted to get the English version. Also, I love this cover. This is a science fiction book for young adults. I will show you the inside flap. It says here this book takes place in 2035 or 2035, when a comet is scheduled to hit Earth, and so the characters in this book are trying to leave Earth and get on a spaceship, but not everyone is just allowed on the few spaceships that are there. So the main character of this book is called Denise, and she has autism, and so she wonders what kind of role she could, what could she possibly contribute to being on this spaceship, because only the people who can really contribute are considered for it. Now, I really enjoyed reading this book. It has been a little while since I've read it. I also liked that Denise's sister, Iris, but the story takes place in the Netherlands, so Iris would probably be more closer to the actual pronunciation, but anyway, is trans, and Denise herself, I should say, Iris is her sister and she's trans, and I should say Denise herself is, I want to say she's biracial, but I can't remember exactly. Like, her father is from the Caribbean or something like that, but I can't remember the details, and it's not on the book, so I'd have to go look in the actual text, because I don't quite remember. One person who posted a review of it complained that it seemed a bit too much diversity. I disagree with that, but so it's basically, the book is basically about Denise and her mum and her sister Iris. I really enjoyed this book. Next up, I'm going to recommend The State of Grace by Rachael or Rachael Lucas. She has autism, as does her son, and this is her only book so far that she's written that has an autistic character. She has written a couple other books, but as far as I can work out, none of those characters are autistic. She has written one other book for young adults, and I've read that one, and I didn't like that one as much as I like this one. And then she's written some more like chick lit rom-com kind of women's fiction kind of books, and I haven't read those yet. But today we're talking about the state of Grace, and Grace has autism, Asperger's. It says on the back. Oh, I'll just show you the synopsis. And she is starting to fall for this boy, and yeah, I found the love the love thing not the most interesting thing about this book, but what I really liked about this book was the representation of sensory issues, which is something that is often overlooked, especially in books with autistic male characters, is how difficult it can be to experience, everything you hear, everything you see, and yeah. I just thought that was really well done in this book. There was something else I liked, but I don't want to spoil it. I wouldn't call it by any means a perfect book, but I really enjoyed reading it because I really connected to especially Grace's sensory issues. And I really liked that for her a way to calm down is to visit her horse at the manege. Okay, they say it's called riding school. I guess that makes sense. We have a riding school anyway. So Google Translate says riding school, so we're gonna go with that. And because I also connect to animals, not to horses, but I really like my dog and my chicken, so yeah, that's what I really liked about this book. It was funny, actually. I found this book randomly when I was browsing in a Dutch bookshop in, I can't remember where. I was visiting a city in my own country, and I randomly found this, and I was like, and so the spine stood out to me, and I read the back. I was like, oh, this is about a character with autism. I'm gonna buy this and give it a go, and I'm really glad I did because I really liked it. Then we have Zondagskind by Judith Visser, and I have mentioned this book already several times on my channel, and it is in Dutch. It's said that there's going to be an English translation, so I hope so. This book is called a novel, but it is very much based on the author's autobiographical, like, growing up. This book is about Jasmijn Vink, and she has autism, but she doesn't know that she does. And it's about her growing up, I think from the age to about 20, 22, maybe about 20. And yeah, I loved this book. I could really relate to Jasmijn in so many ways. The sensory rap was really good as well, and I particularly related to like the parts of it being so like noisy in school that Jasmijn had trouble concentrating and trouble making it through school, and I really related to all of that. And in this book, Jasmijn also, she has a dog, and she really loves this dog, and she really connects with, I think it was her, so yeah. Well, I've already talked about this book lots of times on my channel, so we're going to move on now. And the last book that I have to recommend is 1000 Perfect Notes by C.G. Drews, aka Paper Fury. She has a blog and also a bookstagram. This is her debut book, her debut novel. And this book actually doesn't have an autistic character in it, but stay tuned because her second book is going to be out really, really soon. And I'll tell you about that after I talk about this one. So this book is about Beck, and he has to, his mother forces him to play the piano. So it is about abuse. And then August comes along and they connect. Beck's mother was once a famous pianist, and so she forces Beck to play the piano. And anyway, this was an emotional read. I really, really liked it. And yeah. Oh, it's a contemporary fiction for young adult. This is being marketed as a book for adults. So this book has, for the most part, a child and teenage protagonist, but it is marketed towards adults. Whereas the other three books that I've discussed are all young adult books. Now, C.G. Drew's newest book, so her second book, is called The Boy Who Steals Houses. I will try to put a cover up on the screen somewhere, and that is being released on April the 4th. And I am really excited. This book is about Sam and Avery. They're two brothers and they don't have a home, or, well, they're kind of on the move. And if I remember correctly, Sam is the protagonist and Avery has autism. And we follow these two boys. And I'm really excited to read it. So I really loved this book, and the boy who steals houses has an autistic character in it, and I am super excited to see how that plays out, because Kate, or T.G. Drews, has autism herself, and so I would really like to see how she's written that. So if that sounds at all interesting to you, please check it out. Now then, I would also like to mention a couple of books by autistic authors, fiction books, that I haven't read yet. So I have a couple of them on my Kindle. Show you the book cover on my phone. So the first one is Failure to Communicate. Oh, you can't see that all that well. Oh. Okay, you can't see that all that well. By Kaia Sønderby. This is a science fiction novel. And there is also a prequel called Testing Pandora, but unfortunately I don't have a cover for that on my phone right now. I'm browsing through my database of books. So I have heard that these two books are really, really good, which is why I bought them. So I am really excited to read those at some point. Then I also have This Other World by A.C. Buchanan. This is a short story. I don't have a cover for this, but if I find one, I'll put it on the screen, because there is one. It's just that my database of books doesn't have one in it. I also have that on my Kindle. This is a short story. I'm not sure if I've read this before. Can we focus? I'm not sure if I've read this or not, because apparently this short story was also part of an anthology, or the author's written another something in an anthology, and I have that anthology and I've read it. So I may have already read the story, but the thing is, I can't really remember. So I'm considering this a book to read, even though I have sort of technically already read this in the anthology, but I want to reread it anyway, and I don't remember anything about it, so I'm considering it a TBR book. Then another book, and I recently bought this recently came out, is Desnoods, hele, wereld by Eva Louise Bakker. This came out in March, and it is it's got a lot of autobiographical elements from the author, who also has autism. The main character is called Anna, and she has autism, and one day she sees that there is suddenly a whole lot of money on her bank account, but she doesn't know who sent it to her. So she is having to, this intrigues her, so she is basically going to talk to everybody she knows to try and find out who sent her this money and why. Now that's the synopsis, and I look forward to read this. I think that's all the books I own, fictional books by autistic authors. I do have a lot of non-fiction books, and I will try to, let's see if I can. So I have a whole lot of memoirs. These are some of the memoirs that I've read by autistic authors. There are some information books in here as well, but I just have one shelf with like autism stuff. I also have some unread memoirs still in the bakery, so I've read most of the things on the shelf. But anyway, so I could at some point do like a video on like memoirs by autistic authors that I've read, but it already takes me a long time to review one memoir, so yeah. And I don't know, I think I would find it very difficult picking like my top 5 or something. And that's also very personal, because some stories just resonate with you some more than other stories. Okay, well, thank you very much for watching this video. I am planning on eventually doing more videos on autism, and on my autism specifically. So my question was, for those of you who are interested in seeing that, would you mind if it is mostly just me talking to the camera, as they call it? I think it's called a talking head video, or at least I've heard that term somewhere. Because I was planning to make it all really nice by putting lots of other footage in of things that I'm talking about. For example, I wanted to have, like, when I talk about smells that I like or don't like, have a picture of the thing or some footage of the thing in there, and that would be a whole lot of work, because then I'd have to pre-script it and think about things. So it'd be a lot easier for me if I could just talk like this. So my question to you is, if you're interested in seeing me talk about my autism and my ADD as well, then please let me know if you mind that if I do it like this rather than like making it a whole sort of documentary kind of thing. I would like to know. It is Autism Month in April, so if you can, maybe read a book by an autistic author or with an autistic character, but you don't have to. I totally get if you don't, or if you have already done that in another month or whatever. It's important to me. I'm currently reading a sort of memoir non-fiction. So it's part memoir and it's also part information book. It's a book about women with autism. That's what I'm currently reading, but I didn't bring it with me in here. It's Dutch. It's called Niet, ongevoelig by Henny Struik. And I'm not sure what she's... It's not a therapist, more like a social worker, nurse kind of person. I'm not entirely sure what the correct term is, and I may have looked it up, but I totally forgot what it was now. So anyway, she recommended that book to me, and so I'm reading it. So if I'm in the mood for this book sometime this month, I would like to, or even this week, I would like to read this one as well. But we'll see, because I am so much a mood reader that I really can't predict the TBR. Anyway, so this video has gone on long enough. Thank you very much for watching. I hope you found this interesting. If you have any other recommendations of books written by autistic authors, feel free to leave them in the comments. Because as it turns out, I have read more books with autistic characters, but for most of these authors, I am not aware that they have autism, and they probably don't. I know of a few that have like an autistic child, so there's a couple of those, and I'm sure that a lot of authors have done their research, or not in fact, because not all representation is actually good. And yeah, I do think it's good to support autistic authors. At least that's something that's important to me. So if you have any other recommendations, please let me know. I know of like one other autistic author. I follow her blog, but the thing is, her books are not available in my country, so I would read her books, but I can't buy them. So her name is Daily Downing, I think, if I'm remembering it correctly from memory. But yeah, if you have any other recommendations, please let me know. I have definitely read more books with autistic characters that I really liked, but I wasn't able to verify that those authors had autism, so I would have loved this video to have had 5 recommendations, because I think that is the kind of usual amount that people put in these videos, but I only came to 4. Also, I hope to read C.G. Drew's newest release. That's coming out on the 4th of April. I hope to read that really soon as well, hopefully also this month. I have pre-ordered a copy, and I think it may have to, like, it comes out in the UK on the 4th of April, and then they have to ship it to here. So I might get it a few days or a week, or I don't know, after. But I definitely hope to read that this month as well, if I'm in the mood for it, because I've been looking forward to that for a while. And she deserves, you know, to have people buy her book and talk about it, because she only had a 2-book contract, and so if the book doesn't do well, then she won't be able to publish any more books, and I would love to see more books from her. So yeah. Okay, thank you very much for watching this video, and I hope to see you in my next one. Bye! Also, as a side note, I'll turn you around the room while I say this. My brother and his partner, his girlfriend, they have a bookcase left over, and they're giving it to me. So I am super excited. I don't know yet where I'm going to fit it in, because as you may be able to see, the room is quite full up with books already, and more books. But I'm hoping to fit that in, and then have a new bookcase. So I'm excited about that. Yeah. So enjoy these really quick shots. I hope they're not too quick. Of all my stuff. And so